Hello, students! Welcome to this special video lesson designed by Rishi Sir. Today, we're going to dive into a really fun and imaginative play called The Book That Saved the Earth. Wait, what? Can a book of nursery rhymes really save the world from an alien invasion? Are there? This sounds like it's going to be hilarious. I mean, how can something like Humpty Dumpty stop a Martian attack? I'm already hooked. This is going to be good. Okay, so to understand what's happening, we need to do a bit of time travel. The play is actually set way in the future, in the 25th century, and a historian is looking back at something that happened in 2040. She calls the 20th century the era of the book. Why? Well, because back then, books were everywhere, and apparently, one of them saved our planet. Right, let's get into it. First up, let's meet our invaders, the mighty Martians. And leading the charge is a character with a very, let's just say, a very grand name. He calls himself the Great and Mighty Think Tank. Just look at this guy. He's basically a giant head. But that's the whole point, Yar. Think Tank has a massive ego. On the one hand, he thinks he's the smartest, most handsome ruler in the universe. But in reality, he's just arrogant and bossy, and he gets mad if his mirror doesn't compliment him fast enough. Imagine the pressure on his apprentice, Noodle, no? Having to flatter that guy all day? So, along with the bossy think tank and his assistant Noodle, we have the actual crew that's landed on Earth. We've got Captain Omega, Lieutenant Iota, and Sergeant Oop. These are our explorers, who, as we're about to see, are very, very confused. Okay, so on to the Great Sandwich Mystery. This is where the real fun starts. The crew has landed on Earth and found themselves in this strange room with thousands of odd items. We, of course, know it's a library, but for them, it's a complete puzzle. Hats. He actually thinks books are hats. This is just brilliant. These guys are supposed to be super advanced, right? They can travel across galaxies, but they see a book and think it's something to wear on your head. It just shows you how clueless they really are about Earth. So once the hat idea doesn't work out, Think Tank chimes in from his ship, and with all the confidence in the universe, he declares that books are not hats, they're sandwiches. He's absolutely certain that these objects are the main food for people on Earth. He's so sure of himself, it's hilarious. And this leads to my favorite part, the sandwich test. It's just so funny. To prove his theory, Think Tank orders the crew to eat one of the sandwiches. Poor Sergeant Oop is the one who has to do it. You can just picture him trying to bite into a dusty old book. And his verdict? It tastes like dry Martian dust. Not surprising at all. So after the sandwich theory fails spectacularly, the clever apprentice Noodle gently suggests another idea. Maybe Earthlings don't eat them. Maybe they use them for communication. Of course, Think Tank immediately steals the idea and says, yes, for eye communication. I was just about to say that. He just can't stand being wrong. And that brings us to the turning point of the whole invasion, the rhyme that scared Mars. Now that the Martians think books are for eye communication, Think Tank tells them to read from a big, colorful book to figure out Earth's secrets. And the book they pick up? It's a book of Mother Goose nursery rhymes. Look at this rhyme. Mistress Mary, quite contrary. It's so sweet and simple, right? It's just a little poem about a garden, but when the Martians read these words, well, they don't see a garden. They see a huge threat. This is where Think Tank's so-called great mind just completely melts down. He totally panics. He hears words like cockle shells and silver bells and thinks that Earthlings are growing metals in their farms. Then he hears pretty maids all in a row and becomes convinced we are growing armies and explosives. He gets absolutely terrified. And that's it. Just one little nursery rhyme, completely misunderstood by a super arrogant alien leader, was all it took to save the entire planet. Isn't that amazing? Not armies, not weapons, just a children's book. So this play is really funny. But beyond the laughs, what are the main takeaways? Let's break down the important themes. First, it's a classic story about how pride and arrogance can be your biggest weakness. Think Tank was so full of himself that he couldn't see the simple truth. Yeah, absolutely. And that connects to the second point. Appearance is not always reality. He had a giant head, which made him look smart, but he was actually really foolish, no? For sure! Which leads to the most important lesson here. A little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. Think Tank took a few words from a rhyme and jumped to the wildest conclusions, and that's what made him retreat. Now, the reason this play is so funny is because of some clever writing tricks, or what we call literary devices. Let's quickly look at what makes the humor work so well. The main device here is satire. Satire basically uses humor and exaggeration to make fun of people's foolishness. So the play exaggerates Think Tank's character, with his huge head and crazy ego, to make a point about leaders who are too proud to listen to anyone. And the other one is dramatic irony. This is where the best jokes come from. It's when we, the audience, know something that the characters don't. See, we know they're in a library and that those things are books, but the Martians have no idea. So when they call books sandwiches or hats, it's hilarious to us because we're in on the secret. And this leaves us with a final question to think about. Who was the real hero here? Was it the book of nursery rhymes that saved the day? Or was it Think Tank's own foolishness that defeated him in the end? It's something interesting to consider. Chalo, done and dusted. I really hope this breakdown helped you understand the story, its humor, and its deeper message. It's a fantastic little play. Best of luck, guys.